I just stumbled onto one of the weirdest hidden gems I've ever seen, and I'm gonna tell you all about it. Imagine Stardew Valley. You've got a nice little farm where you tend to your crops every day, tilling the soil, planting the seeds, and watering them whenever they need, so you can eventually harvest them and sell them in the town to make a living. Except it's a roguelike, and at night, instead of going to sleep, you have to defend your crops against mutated slugs, armed bunnies, and, occasionally, the fucking sun. And while turning a farming simulator into a bullet hell may seem like a questionable idea, this game somehow still makes it work. But let's start from the beginning, shall we?
Oh, you gotta come down here. It's like an old bunker.
I ain't getting down no hatch.
Oh, come on. What could be safer than a bomb shelter?
Safe from what? Nothing bad has ever happened around here.
Hey kids, my name is and today we're gonna have a look at my second favorite cat game, Atomicrops. You play as a Ukrainian farmer in 1986, and the wildlife around you has gotten the funny kind of cancer. All of the crops are alive, and the town where you sell those crops are also just mutated vegetables, which raises a lot of ethical questions now that I think about it. But who cares? We have some farming to do. Every morning, you get dropped off on your farmland by this dude in a helicopter. And from here, you're on your own. The carrots are hungry, and you're the only farmer in town, so you gotta put in some work. Unfortunately, a nuclear fallout has reduced the day length from 24 hours to about 5 minutes. And every year lasts 12 days now. Luckily for us though, the radioactive crops also grow much faster, and so feeding a cannibalistic town is actually doable. In order to grow any crops, you first need some seeds though. We get a few from the basket that got dropped off along with us, but these won't last us the whole year. How do we get more? It's actually quite simple. Murder. You see, we're not the only ones trying to survive in the wastelands, and when venturing out beyond your farm, you'll find a number of camps inhabited by bunnies, along with other mutated creatures. They've already gathered the seeds for us, and all we have to do is kill them all. And then we can just take their stuff for free.
Free?
The bunnies don't just keep seeds though. They also have items that upgrade your run. Their effects range from water crops faster to mount turrets on your pigs, or enable polygamous relationships. Some camps also keep farm animals, under what are most certainly illegal conditions.
Ooh, that's kind of small. Yikes.
If you free them, they'll help you out on your farm. Bees boost their crops, chickens eat weeds and lay eggs, cows water thirsty plants, and pigs till soil and expand your farmland. Aren't they cute? Anyway, we got the seeds, so let's go back to the farm and plant them. Oh, right. When left alone, weeds will grow and spread across your farm. They can just be removed, but it's a time-consuming process. Alright, so we first need to till the soil on our farmland, then we can plant the seeds, and they're ready to grow. This is probably a good time to mention that every time you do any of these tasks, cutting weeds, tilling soil, or planting seeds, the blue meter at the bottom will fill up. And when it's full, you become energized, which makes you do farming work faster. However, you will lose the effect again if you don't do any farm work for a few seconds. It's an interesting mechanic. It helps you out, while also keeping you under pressure. The rest of the farming process is pretty automatic. You just need water from time to time, which gets provided automatically as long as you don't move too far away.
Are you sure about that?
Et voila! Our crops are ready and eager for harvest.
Nobody kill me!
And since we're just built different and have no need for nutritions, they will instantly be sold to the town for some hard cash. Use. Yeah, it turns out the currency in this game is just more food. Alright, the day's over, now it's time to log in. At night, the bunnies come back for revenge. They will spawn in waves on your farm to attack you, while slugs and flies try to eat your crops. And this is where the true difficulty of this game comes into play: multitasking. You see, depending on your playstyle, more often than not, you'll spend the entire day pillaging bunny camps. And if you still want to make some money, you have to farm during the night. But tending to your crops while dodging bullets is hard, way harder than it looks. And I haven't even explained most of the mechanics in this game yet. But in short, you have to actively plan where you plant what. while also making sure you stay energized. And have I mentioned there are consumables and active items? The enemies on their own are a joke. The bullet speed is so slow that you have multiple seconds to just walk to the side. However, you have to actually see the bullet to dodge it. And when your attention is divided between where you're planting, where your character is, and where all the enemies are, you're gonna get hit anyway. Or maybe that's just a me problem. I don't know. Anyway, you defend your crops against the evil bunnies, and maybe even made a few cashews along the way. And at dawn, the helicopter guy will return to drop you off in the town. There are two main things you want to buy here. First of all, a new weapon. While your pea shooter may have served as a weapon for the first day, you'll realize just how bad it is once you try any of the other weapons. In total, there are 14 unique weapons, 2 of which are only available in the DLC. Yes, there are DLCs, I'll get to those in a minute. They are, mostly, created equal, with unique traits that make them better in certain situations. Like, I'm sure the sniper would be pretty good, if I had aim. Or, the Gatling gun has insane DPS, but it takes some time to wind up, and also slows you down. Every day, you'll be able to choose between 2 different weapons to buy. And they usually come with 1 or more stat modifiers, which give you random upgrades unique to every gun. There are boring upgrades like fire rate or range up, but sometimes you get the cool stuff, like water your crops with a flamethrower or force. There's one more thing you can get from buying weapons though, and that's stat ups. Buying any gun will either increase your farming stat or your fighting stat, which improves farming and fighting respectively. Duh. But here's the deal. These stats are permanent. When you buy a new weapon, you will lose the old one, but you'll keep the stats. This mechanic encourages you to buy a new weapon whenever you can, and it helps to keep your own fresh and to not just use the same gun every time. Now, there's still one more thing we should do here. Every day, you'll find 2 strangers chilling in town. They both have a nice item sitting next to them, but they won't just give it to anyone. You have to befriend them first. How do you do that? Well, relationships in Atomicrops, just like in real life, are transactions where both sides strive for the greatest monetary enrichment. And so you just gotta give them a bunch of roses until they marry you. If you still have some leftover cashews, you can spend them in the other shops, and then it's time for day 2. We still have some seeds left over, so I'll take the time to explain the other farming mechanics real quick. The wasteland has 4 different biomes with 4 corresponding seed types: plains, desert, tundra, and jungle. These are your bread and butter, and your main source of income. Harvesting enough of them will level them up, and cause all future seeds to mutate into more valuable crops. It will also spawn a worm seed, which lets you choose between 2 different abilities. Propagators will let you plant seeds in rows, and garden beds will automatically plant seeds for you. You can also fertilize your crops
with the flesh of your fallen foes
to make them more valuable. And if you fertilize 4 identical crops growing adjacent to each other, they will merge into one big crop, which is even more valuable. There are other seeds too. Heartbeats will heal you. Roses I already explained. Pumpkins damage enemies. And sunflowers just serve as a fertilizer to cashew converter. And rarely, you may also find trees, which will stay as long as they don't get eaten, and passively generate fruits. They too can be merged into a mega tree, which I think is pretty sick. Some bunny camps can hold active items, in the form of tractors. They are on a relatively long cooldown, and can be used to dig holes, cut weeds, water plants, or grind your enemies for a wood chipper to turn them into fertilizer. Very rarely, you may also find a megaton tractor, which is literally just a nuke. And lastly, there are 3 types of consumable scrolls to expand farmland, water crops, or fertilize them. You can spend the rest of the day farming and exploring however you like, but do make sure you get enough cashews to buy a new weapon if you still have the pea shooter, because at dusk of the 3rd day, one of 2 bosses will spawn to terrorize your farm. We've got Big Snail with Bunny Turret, Big Unfriendly Worm, UFO that steals your friends, literally just the sun from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stardust Crusaders, AIDS, Old MacDonald had a farm, and he will take it back by any means necessary, Easter Bunny on steroids, and can this big ass spider please stand still for 1 second. Usually, as long as you have a half-decent weapon, the boss fights aren't too hard. But it is one more thing you have to pay attention to, and while the boss just despawns at dawn, I would still make killing it a high priority, since you can't leave during the fight, and farming while it runs around is rather difficult. Also, I love the silly wordplays they always make before the fight. Once the boss fight ends, so will the current season, and the town will hold a festival to celebrate. The mayor, who is an onion by the way, will reward you generously for your hard work. The more cashews you made over the season, the bigger the reward. There is also a shop for spending some roses, and you can buy tractors. But most important of all, gambling! Sadly, this casino is not designed to keep you for long, and so after investing all of our savings into the dice, back to the farm we go. By now, you should already be rocking a decent weapon and a fair share of items, so I'd say it's about time we entered some of the more dangerous areas. The 4 biomes, from least to most difficult, are plains, desert, tundra and jungle, in that order. And while some might argue the exact order, tundra and jungle are definitely more dangerous than plains and desert. And since you have to pay a fee to enter them anyway, they're usually put off until later. Well, later is now, so let's repair the bridge and drive the bunnies into extinction. Every biome has its own unique enemies, and while sentient oil canisters and the occasional hornet can be kind of annoying, tundra and jungle definitely take it up a notch. The tundra is filled with foxes and owls, leaving behind bullets that will still be there after 30 seconds. And those freaking snowmen locking you in a cage fight really don't help with dodging them. And yet, the tundra is still a lesser evil when compared to the jungle. If you just so happen to have a sniper equipped, you might as well use it to blow your brains out. At least that would be less painful than trying to clear a single camp in the jungle with it. Geckos randomly running into you, ladybugs randomly running into you, plants spawning swarms of enemies, and of course, the panther, which becomes completely invincible while attacking. But enough slander. On the far side of every biome is a bridge to a second version of that biome, which basically just contains stronger versions of every enemy, but also better loot. Most notably, the better counterparts of your farm animals can be found here: hummingbirds, turkeys, bigger cows, and hogs. Yes, hummingbirds are apparently just better bees, don't question it. You may also find special camps where you can deal with the devil or get cute ghosts to help you out, among other things. And I kinda forgot to mention this earlier, but one of your main sources of loot is the golden poopa, which will spawn once every biome after clearing enough camps. Poopa, poopa, poopa. If you follow it, it will lead you to a tree monster, which will drop you some really nice items. Okay, so after repeating the cycle of exploring, farming and fighting often enough, you'll eventually kill the boss on the 3rd day of winter. And after your short stay at the festival casino, you might notice that something isn't quite right. Because the 5th season of the year, the nuclear winter has begun, and the final boss of the game will come to pay a visit to your farm. But oh no, what is this? Your weapons can't penetrate the thick skin of its armor. And we have no choice. We must use the power of friendship. The friends, in this case, being the vegetables we've grown along the way. This boss is even easier than the others, because there are no extra enemies spawning. So unless you're being a total dumbass, like me, this boss fight is a free win. After the fight, there'll be a quick surplus mode, where you can go all out on your farm, use everything you have, and the cashews you make during that time are converted into cornucopias, which you can spend later. Also, cornucopia is actually a real word, and I think it's a huge missed opportunity to not call it cornucopia. But maybe they just didn't want to do a second wordplay after calling the boss Corpse-a-copia. Who knows? And that's it! You won your first run! Now you return back to your house, which you haven't seen for a whole year, and where you won't even spend a full day before going back to the farm. Now you may notice that your house kind of looks like it had a nuke dropped on it. But no worries, because after rescuing a bunch of ants during your run, they are willing to repair it for you in exchange for some cornucopias. Which magically also has the side effect of giving you permanent upgrades for future runs. You can also select the difficulty in the form of years. There are 10 in total, and you unlock a year by beating the game on the previous one. The difference between 1 year is barely noticeable, but it does add up. And while they make the game more difficult, they also let you earn more cornucopias, so it's worth unlocking them all. The bunker is where you select the character you want to play. The vendor is just your basic starting character. Ravio always gives you an extra weapon mod, which is nice to have. Robusta makes the entire game 50% faster, in case you think the game is too easy. What? And in case you're having too much fun, you can always play Dandelion. I walk, then let go. Jeez. Time makes days 50% longer, but the day shortens if you get hit. In my opinion, she's by far the best character. 50% more time for farming and exploring is just incredibly good. And I mean, I don't get hit anyway. And Origacro, who you only unlock through a DLC, changes most farming mechanics, and is too complicated to explain. Below the house is a garden with all your achievements. Some of these are pretty difficult, like beating year 10 with Robusta, or winning a run without taking any damage. And off to the right, you'll find a cat trader, who trades cats for cornucopias. They're all very cute, and also have the fortunate side benefit of giving you stat boosts. There are other things here too that I just haven't unlocked yet. I've only played Atomicrops for like 50 hours. But that just makes me all the more excited to see what else it might have to offer. Personally, I had a really good time playing this game so far. Getting the right combination of items and becoming super overpowered is just really satisfying. And if you enjoy roguelikes, there's a good chance you like this too. I would definitely recommend it. The concept is just so unique, I haven't seen anything quite like it. There are still a bunch of things I haven't mentioned yet, but I think I'm gonna end it here. I've been working on this little video for over 3 months now, for which I have only my lazy ass to blame. But there's just so many projects I want to work on. I'll do my best to get the next video out within 2 months or so, but no promises. Until then, I will need you to like, comment and subscribe, and I hope you have a fantabulously crackerjack rest of your day. Bye bye!